Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we are back with another brand new video. Now today is a video we're here to discuss the very painfully boring matchup between Rangers and St Johnstone. So without any further ado, let's just dive into it so we get this out of the way. 3, 2, 1. Rangers 0, St Johnstone 0. Yeah, that's right, back-to-back blanks. That's what happens when you've not got Alfredo Morelos in the team. We just didn't ken how to operate. I mean, literally from the first whistle you knew something was wrong because St Johnstone took the game to us. Yet we're at home, we're at Ibrox, we need a statement performance after drawing with Kilmarnock in the Cup. Yet St Johnstone are the ones that's making the creative runs in behind and actually attacking our goals within the first 5 to 10 minutes. Alarm bells were certainly ringing. Now, if you actually follow me on Twitter, whenever I see the team line up by Rangers, I always react and fire and give my thoughts and opinions right away. But it took me about an hour because I just looked at it and I was just like... I mean, the only thing that actually impressed me was, ironically, the only thing that impressed me in the overall game, which was Glenn Kamara was starting. And I thought Glenn Kamara is probably the only player, bar Fordingham, that can leave that part with his head held high. Now, look at this game of football. Rangers had 18 shots in the match. 18! If you don't know the answer, guess how many shots we actually got on target. I'll give you a few seconds if you haven't seen it before. Let me tell you, the answers come in now. We got 1 on target. 18 shots, 1 on target. God damn it, we miss Morelos. Now, this is normally the part in the fan recap where I break down the events of the first half, then I jump to the second half and break that bad boy down. But there was genuinely nothing worth talking about for the majority of that game. I think one moment where Ryan Kent and Tav linked up in the first half, that was about the only thing that looked a bit exciting. In fact, another one with Ryan Kent where he'd done a little clever thing from a corner. He passed it to Daniel Candeias at the edge of the box, space and time, and what does Daniel Candeias do? Smashes it over the frickin' bar by a mile. Now, it wasn't the only one in the game. He obviously had one in the second half where he had a clear opportunity inside the box and he just fired it over the bar. I love Candeias. I'm sure a lot of you guys love Daniel Candeias. His hard work is absolutely amazing. He's one of our best players when Morelos is on the field. When Morelos isn't, Daniel Candeias for the back-to-back games now just looks absolutely clueless. I mean, the only compliment I can actually give Daniel Candeias for that 90 minutes performance is the fact that he wasn't alone in misperforming. That's pretty much all I can actually say, and he's normally one of our best and most influential players. He was just completely off. And on the other side, I did mention Ryan Kent creating a couple of opportunities, and yes, he was one of the ones that was willing to go forward, but even he was just slightly off. His ball control was just slightly off. Whenever he flicked it by someone, you thought, right, he's gone into the box. Even his next touch was off and a defender would get there. It just didn't quite happen for Rangers. It was an absolutely infuriating game to watch. And what's even more infuriating is you saw it coming. See, after about 30 minutes, you sit back and you think, oh no. Now, to be fair to St Johnstone, I thought they defended very well. Now, I talked about that in my prediction video. Everyone's talking them off, talking 5, 6, 7, nothing. I did go 2-0 in my prediction. I thought Rangers would be able to eventually get the breakthrough, then grab another when St Johnstone pushes forward. But we just couldn't get by them when they knuckled down and they fought for everything, and we made them look like the AC Milan defence from the late 90s to early 2000s with Maldini and Nesta, Stam, etc, etc. So you've actually got to give them a lot of credit for coming here, digging deep and defending well and not making it easy for us, but also you've actually got to look at it. At the end of the day, they created the best opportunities to score. They're the one that hit the bar, chipping the goalkeeper, hit the underside and bounced back. They were probably going away from this game as a St Johnstone fan. You're actually annoyed you didn't take 3 points, and I can't believe I'm actually saying that. That is not how I expected this game to go. That was not a Rangers performance. That was certainly not a Steven Gerrard's Rangers performance. It was absolutely awful. Now, I know this is all fine and dandy saying this with hindsight, etc, but the midfield today was just awful. They just couldn't control the game. They couldn't get the ball down. They couldn't move it to our actual strikers. I thought Stephen Davis, I thought started brightly. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just going to be honest. First 10 minutes, couple of nice touches, a long diagonal, hit like a wee nutmeg and then crossed into the box. I thought Davis looks like he's finally going to recapture some of that form he had previously, because he's not kicked the ball for Rangers before that. Then he shot out a challenge, and then for the next 30 minutes the game completely, and I mean completely, passed him by. He's just slowed the tempo to an absolute crawl. Still isn't 100% fit, and was actually extremely lucky to play as long as he actually did in the game. Ross McCrory I thought was quite off as well. He tried to break up things, he tried to move the ball along. I know he tried to get further forward, had a couple of wayward shots, etc, but do you really need 2 holding midfield players, right? You've got Glenn Kamara and you've got Ross McCrory at home versus St Johnstone, especially in that second half. Do you really need 2 holding midfield players on the field at the same time when you're going ahead and winning the game. I just think we set up very, very negatively playing in the 4-3-3 with Jermaine Defoe up front by himself. We've saw it's not worked in previous games, yet we doubled down on it today and it just didn't work. And I don't blame Jermaine Defoe, by the way. I'm going to get that right out of the way. I know a lot of people aren't happy with him. I've already quickly seen in my mentions just before I started filming this video, but look at what he actually had to deal with beyond less than scraps. Like, it was awful. We were just kicking balls like left and right. He was having to run out to the corner flags at some point. There was one moment in the first half where he bet his man in behind. He's looking for the easy ball. Tavernier messes up. A couple of minutes there, exactly the same. You've got Stephen Davis messing up. The only one who managed to hit a through ball through the defence to him was our centre-back, Connor Goldson, and that was from the halfway line, low across the ground. When your centre half is the only one being able to break a bank of 4 defenders with a through ball, you've got a hell of a lot of problems. And the last thing we actually need to talk about is obviously going to be the substitutions. I don't think they worked at all. Well, clearly they never worked, but they were just quite strange. You know, Stephen Davis off for Middleton, it sort of made the middle of the park even more weird. It just didn't seem very balanced. No one really knew where to go. One minute Kent was out in the right, and then he was in the middle, and then he was out to the left. Middleton played a lot of the time out in the right, even though he's left-footed, so he had to keep cutting back to hit with his left foot. It was very, very weird balance-wise. Kyle Lafferty actually came on and I thought he added a lot more than maybe what like a Jermaine Defoe did, because that's his game, winning the ball up high, very, very similar to Alfredo Morelos, just not quite as effective, obviously, and he went the closest to actually scoring in the game, bringing down a cross on his chest, volleying it, which was about whisker away from going into the net. And the other substitution was Ross McCrory off, finally, holding midfield player, you didn't need 2 of them against St Johnstone, but it's for Koulibaly. Like for like change, he just sat there, holding roll. 80 odd minutes versus St Johnstone. I think the game was crying out for someone to go in there and start screaming at people and really rally the boys. Someone like an Andy Halliday type character who will drive himself through a brick wall for the Glasgow Rangers. Yes, I've said stuff about him in the past and everything like that in previous seasons, saying he wasn't good enough, etc. But this season I thought he's been absolutely different class. He can really rally the boys up and he's been performing well. I didn't even understand why he was dropped at left back for BB, who had a terrible game. He was terrible against Aberdeen and he was terrible once again versus St Johnstone. Turned inside out every single time. He's crossing. In fact, his performance was sort of perfectly summed up round about the 85th minute. We finally gambled and went everybody in the box. We had 5-6 people in there. BB on his left hand side. He crosses it in. Where did it go? It was closer to getting a pie in Bovril than being in the box. He kicked it right out, 85th minute, and that's when everyone's obviously started to leave. They kind of realised what kind of game it was actually going to be. And I don't know, the last 10-15 minutes I'm sitting there thinking we're no going to score. Like, you hear all this stuff about Tottenham, they're very memed right now because they've never drawn all season, because they continue just to go forward non-stop. They rarely pass a ball backwards. They go forward. They've never drawn all season. They didn't give up. It always looks like they're going to get a goal. But for us, slow, backwards, sideways, backwards, sideways, backwards, sideways, give it to Tav, hope for a cross. That was kind of our game plan. It just never looked like it was going to happen. I think that's the best thing I can actually do to explain the video. I'm not going to drag it out or annoy anyone. This is one of these games you just want to completely get over and forget it and move on to the next one. So that is my thoughts on the overall game. Very, very poor from Rangers. Slow off the tempo. Didn't look like they were up for the fight. Nobody really rallied the boys. No one really wanted it in the middle of the park to take over the game and really push us forward. No one gambled offensively. It was a very, very, very poor performance, and that is my fan recap of the game. By the way, I didn't actually do a man of the match poll. Once again, I thought only 2 players actually performed up to the standard of a Rangers player. That was Glenn Kamara and Wes Foringham. There was genuinely not a third person to make an actual poll with. So if you want to get involved in the comments, let me know who was the man of the match overall in that performance. For me personally, it was Glenn Kamara. Got to tip the cap. So let's hear from the people. Panic at the Disco says utter pish. Reece James and Tav says no words. Philip Ewan McGregor, probably not the Ewan McGregor, never know. He says waste of a 90 minutes. Gary Stevens says Kamara was our only bright spot, absolutely abysmal from Rangers. Can't blame the ref either, that was all on us. I know Tom Miller was very, very adamant we should have had a penalty. I've not really seen the highlights too much. Yes, it looked like he kind of hit his hand, but did we do enough to overall win that game? Not really. I think falling back on the referee and talking about the pen is probably an easy excuse, and to be honest, we need to start taking our jobs. We can't rely on the SFA and the referees. We know how crap and shit they are. We need to do our jobs. Julianne says, only player that stood out today was Kamara. The rest were actually dog meat. Wes done alright. Kent was okay in spells. Missed Jack today though. Overall crap crap game. Couldn't agree more with that one as well. Robert Edgar says, no matter the price, we can't afford to sell Morelos. Defoe is beyond Lucis when teams sit in. Only standout was Fods and Kamara. George Pope fires in, didn't seem bothered today. Everything was shite. Teams that sit in, we can't break them down. Same story for the last 3 seasons. Yeah, it's exactly the same versus Kilmarnock as well. Just a boring, poor game. But I'll read a couple more out. Finland Patterson says, Glenn Kamara was class in the first half, but he was absolutely invisible in the second half. Kaelin Govan says, Kamara was the only man that turned up today. Defoe's was my man of the match. Husky1690 says, nothing to say, mate. Take a night off, CJ. Yeah, I could do, but then I would only be uploading when we're winning, or if it's a big game. Win, lose or draw, I'll always be here to upload. Rightly or wrongly, whether you like it or not, I'll be here. And to wrap up today's video then, we'll read out 2 more. Buffalo writes in stale, not the Buffalo, well, you never know. But Kenny Smith finishes up with, should have put the under-17s out rather than that. Pish, yeah, shout out to the under-17s. We could have done with a couple of them, certainly, in the second half. But that's it. You've heard from the people, you've heard from myself. If you haven't done so already, you know what to do by now in the comment section below. Shout out to the 50 strong on the Patreons account. Greatly appreciate you. If you'd like to help support that and join the 50 strong, the link for that will be as always down in the description below. I've been CJ Nova92. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.